Okay, so this is a quick intro onto ToraBora. That's Brian. Just give you a little bit of the history of it all, and then I'll do a tour of the layout and explain a few bits as we go around. But anyway, it all started in about 1997 when I started building these two boards, which is a model of Brixham for my son. It was originally going to be DC, started with a Graham Farish GWR good set and just built up to this. In about 1999 he'd lost interest, I'd lost interest, and what with my job in the Navy take me away a lot, these two boards went into storage and didn't see the light of day until about well, 3.5 years ago. Anyway, so this is Brixham. The layout is pretty close to how it originally was up until 1963 when under the beaching cuts the line shut to Churston and it was all torn up. This area here is now actually a housing estate. Changes I made were that point there in front of the cattle dock was about there, and I extended it down here to get one loco past so I could do a run round, basically maximise the usage. This is all mocked up at the moment, nothing's bolted down, glued down on here, and this is going to be my last bit of scenic work to do. So that's the cattle dock where that's the fish dock where the fish wagons were loaded up for onward transmission up to London. There's a porter's lodge. The station itself, again, I'll explain in my laser CAD video how I come up with these, but that was from a 3-view drawing of Brixham Station. The gents, there's a bridge section to go there. The engine shed, which was taken away, ooh, crumbs, in the 30s I believe, with a loco servicing coal water, because the loco that they used on the branch line in those days used to be stabled there overnight. And then the mileage yard is a little bit longer, a little bit different orientation to the real one, just so I could get more stock in there basically. And then the line disappears off over Furzham and out to the edge of Brixham via a fuel depot which was installed in the 40s, but I'll explain that in a minute. So this is where it all started. Went into storage, got it out again when I got use of this, the log cabin, in when I left the Navy in autumn 2015, and the beginning of New Year 2016 is when I started work on all of this lot. There'll be a short break now while I remove these boards so I can get in the corner and walk around the rest of the layout. Before I carry on with the layout tour and Northfield Lensfield depot board, I need to explain the background of my layout in slightly greater depth. When I first got use of this 12-foot by 12-foot log cabin, I sat down and sketched out various ideas how to make best use of all this extra space. I settled on a continuous twin track run on a scenic shelf around the inside of the new man cave, with Brixham branch line and the fuel depot joining into the main line at my interpretation of Churston. Things have moved on considerably in the world of engage and model railways in general since 1997, so DCC was the obvious way forward for me. Using any rail and taking on board some helpful comments that have been made on the Engage forum online, my plan was developed from this in April 2016 to this as built now. The general civil engineering concept was pretty straightforward. I made a suitable width shelf around the inside of the shed with large radius corners and some supporting structure for the Brixham station and fuel depot boards. The minimum radius in the corners on the inside track is 18 inches or about 460 millimeters. The biggest issue though was how to deal with the crossing the doorway. I toyed with fitting a hinged lift out section, but
once I finally settled on what the scenic sections were actually going to represent, I decided to construct my own version of the Royal Albert Bridge crossing the Tay-Bar from South Devon into Cornwall. I've really enjoyed researching this project, and it's been so much easier with the internet. But in the end, I've still ended up relying mainly on printed material, chiefly the Brixham branch by C.R. Potts, also the Newton Abbot to Kingsway branch line, also by C.R. Potts, several GWR journal articles, another book, The Brunel in Cornwall by John Christopher. That was for my Royal Albert Bridge information. And finally, a DVD entitled The System, which is a film by Michael Winner and starring Ollie Reed, which made quite a bit of use of Brixham Station in 1963, just before it closed. Finally, my grandfather was a signalman at the Goodrington box in the 50s into the early 60s, and it was really nice to find a picture of him in the Newton Abbot to Kingsway book. So with that, we'll crack on with the rest of the tour.